Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. It happens to all of us. Our phones light up with a string of unfamiliar numbers. It's a robocall. And unless a company has your written permission to call, a robocall trying to sell you something is illegal. In recent programs with the Vermont Attorney General's Consumer Assistance Program, we've learned that robocalls are at the heart of scams that steal hundreds of thousands of dollars from Vermonters every year. So, to learn more about robocalls and what you can do about them, I'm joined by Lisa Jensen. Lisa is the Assistant Director of the Attorney General Consumer Assistance Program at the University of Vermont. Good to have you back with us, Lisa.
It's good to be back, Fran. Nice to see you.
So, 16 months ago, the federal government passed the TRACED Act to prevent robocalls. So, why haven't robocalls stopped?
Good question. So first I want to point out that our telephone systems are designed to get calls through. And so scammers know this and they use this system because it's easy and right now it's profitable. And I just wanted to point out that in 2020, the Federal Trade Commission, which is our national consumer protection agency, determined that 59% of the frauds that occurred, the telephone was the weapon that the criminals used. So, Fran, as you said, there is good news. There's the TRACED Act, which was passed bipartisan in Congress, December 2019. Now, the TRACED Act stands for Telephone Robocall Abuse Criminal Enforcement Deterrent. That's a mouthful. We all need to remember, excuse me, is the TRACED Act. So it is... the heart of it is to update phone technology to intercept these scam attempts. So there's a timeline, and it's going to take some time. But the good news is we should see some changes starting this summer.
Fantastic. So yeah, in June this is really supposed to start rolling out, but a lot of these come from out of the country and other places. So it's not going to happen all at once, even though there is this hopeful in June 2021, some things are going to happen because the technology really has to change countrywide.
Right, it has to catch up. And a lot of these scammers are out of the country. So it's an international crime network behind these scam robocalls. And so the phone technology in the United States has to catch up, and the bad actors have to be, the technology has to catch up to stop the bad actors.
Right. So now what about the Federal Trade Commission's Do Not Call registry? So some of us call up and we get on that and we still get some calls. What's going on there?
Right. Good question. So the Do Not Call registry is intended for us as consumers who want to stop unwanted calls from established legitimate businesses. And so let's say you receive a call from a business that is trying to sell a particular service. And you say, no, thanks. Thanks for calling. And they call the following week. And then they call the following week. So that's an example of register the Do Not Call registry to stop those legitimate established phone calls coming from businesses in the U.S.
Okay. And you even have to renew that every year, or you did at one point, right?
You do have to renew it, yes.
Okay. So what is the Vermont Attorney General's office doing to stop robocalls? What are you guys doing?
Right. So a couple things. So the Vermont Attorney General's office is part of a national task force to analyze and potentially take action. We collect data through the Consumer Assistance Program. So our viewers should know that our team at the Consumer Assistance Program now has an online scam reporting form. And as you see on the slide, there is our website and our phone number. So yes, we have this new online scam reporting form, which really asks some specific questions that's helpful to us. If somebody isn't able to access that form or they have questions, they are more than welcome, as always, to call us at our phone number as well. And I also want to share that there is a robocall ban bill that's working its way through the Vermont legislature, and we did testify.
Excellent. So who falls victim to robocalls typically?
any of us can really fall victim. And it could be me, it could be my neighbor, it could be my family. These scammers they use psychology really to create the sense of urgency for us that there's a problem, and in order to solve it, there's an urgency, and there's this heightened emotional state that really puts us in a place that it's hard to make a rational decision because we're in like the fight or flight response.
Right.
And as you can see, so I'd like to explain what's the slide. Again, this is data from the Federal Trade Commission from 2020. And what it shows simply is that in 2020, more younger people were scammed more, but lost less money. And older people were scammed less, but lost more money. And again, this is national data. So a wide range of people can fall victim.
So this all sounds pretty hopeless, and we know that scammers are crafty and conniving. So what can we do? What can we advise, especially to elders who seem more susceptible? Quickly.
First is to verify the call. Let the calls go to voicemail.
Okay.
Absolutely let the calls go to voicemail.
Yep. Okay.
And oh, go ahead.
Well, I think we should get to this video that the Federal Trade Commission, just to make sure that we get it in, and we can cover some of these things again later. There are ways to block robocalls, and this might help. Little technical, but let's take a look.
Say the word robocalls and people immediately start talking about what they would do to stop them. I'm Katie Daffin, an attorney at the Federal Trade Commission. As part of the FTC's Robocall Challenge, we got terrific ideas for technical solutions. We also got some really great practical suggestions from people who are reducing illegal robocalls day by day. Listen to these. Some telephone service providers allow their customers to block calls from multiple phone numbers. They may charge for that service. Also, some people told us that certain voice over internet provider, or VoIP services, reduce calls they don't want. One consumer said he uses VoIP hardware that allows him to tag any incoming number as unwanted, and then play a disconnected tone to the caller. After he applies this to an unwanted caller, he says there's usually no second call. Search internet shopping sites for call blocker. You will find a variety of products and reviews. One woman said she uses a special phone that causes robocaller software to drop her number off the call list. This not only reduced the number of robocalls she got, but eventually stopped them altogether. You know those 3-note special information tones that signal a non-working number? They sound like this. Some people told us they put this tone at the beginning of their voicemail or answering machine message, and it resulted in fewer calls. Call blocking products and reviews are available at your app store. People told us they're paying for apps that work to block robocalls on their cell phones, and that there are some free apps that have decent reviews too. One consumer, clearly someone who is comfortable with technology, said he got a virtual phone line and then forwarded the calls from that line to his actual phone. He gives his virtual number to everyone and keeps the other phone number to himself. So, if you're willing to change your phone number and you know how to set up call forwarding and screening, this can be a useful and free solution to block illegal robocalls. These tips might not work for everyone, but the good news is that they're working for some people. What works best for you? Share your robocall tips with other consumers on the FTC's Facebook page at facebook.com/Federal Trade Commission.
If you're just joining us now, we are with Lisa Jensen talking to her about robocalls. She's with the Vermont Consumer Assistance Program. Lisa, we should just point out that under federal law, some calls do not require your permission. So can we just cover that quickly?
Sure. So examples of some of those calls is calls from your healthcare provider, perhaps from your child's school. Perhaps it's a charity or a debt collector that is legitimately calling for a debt. Although there's rules around that, so call us if that's happening.
Okay, so the ones that are trying to sell you something are the ones that are probably a problem. And before we end, you have this great acronym, SLOW. It's a key point of information. Let's just cover that, and then we'll get back to the website before we go.
Wonderful. The SLOW method, Fran asked, what should we do? Let the calls go to voicemail. If you answer the call, slow down. Log the call. Make one phone call, whether it's to our office, the Consumer Assistance Program, to ask a question of whether or not this is a scam call. And remember, who cares? So if you can't get a hold of a friend or family, you can call CAP. We can always talk about and help people understand what the call is about. And so our phone number is 1-800-649-2424. And our website is available at ago.cap, or our email at vermont.gov. But again, we do have a new online scam reporting form on our website.
Great, and I know you have lots of other great information, including how to configure a cell phone, to block unknown callers, so that's the place to go. Lisa Jensen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for being with us. I'm Fran Stoddard. Stay well.